leaders saying, how do we reverse obesity? How do we cure obesity? They're not asking that. They're saying, how can we actually say obesity is not your fault? Oprah, who's involved with Weight Watchers, just apologized for preaching personal accountability over the past decades. She said it's not personal accountability. We're supporting Ozempic. This is becoming, obesity is becoming something.
Do you think Oprah got paid?
She's highly involved with Weight Watchers. Yeah, Weight Watchers has shifted from a personal accountability organization that it's been preaching for decades and is now a prescriber of Ozempic. They've totally changed because Ozempic is a better business model because you never go off of it.
This isn't.
Well, it seems Oprah may have picked the worst possible day to shine her legendary light, because Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly just turned her legacy into an all-you-can-roast buffet. Tucker brought the smirk, Megyn wielded the scalpel, and together they took a sledgehammer to Queen O's empire like it was built on self-help soundbites and calorie-free mantras. One moment, she's the high priestess of empowerment. The next, she's dodging punchlines like rogue flying yoga mats. What exactly did they say that rattled the throne of America's couch queen? Oh, it wasn't just shade, it was a full-blown eclipse. And yes, it was deliciously brutal.
The bill has gone and hasn't passed. Will you reintroduce that?
Absolutely, and when I am elected president of the United States, I will make sure that bill gets to my desk and I will sign it into law.
We already knew that, Oprah. She said that at the debate. Oprah is no longer in the business of staying up on the news. I bet she didn't even watch the damn debate. She's reading undoubtedly from blue cards her staff gave her. That's how the Oprah Winfrey Show was shot. Oprah didn't have to think of her own questions. I know. I've spoken with her executive producers over the years, all of them.
Picture this, Oprah Winfrey, once America's undisputed queen of comfort and soul-soothing soundbites, now gripping a microphone on stage, not to inspire, but to MC what looks more like a politically charged pep rally than a town hall. Gone are the book club vibes. In their place, big lights, louder agendas, and one very expensive paycheck. Yes, Oprah's taken a sharp turn from daytime empathy to primetime politics, and not for peanuts. Word is, she pocketed a seven-figure sum. So is this reinvention, or just high-priced PR in a pantsuit?
His rap music attacks women. I know the feeling. When I had a son, I stopped watching Oprah because it was just too anti-male, and I felt like I didn't want to bring him up in a home where Oprah was constantly attacking men, and it's really...
Let's break this down. She reportedly snagged $1 million payday. Some whisper it was even more to host a Kamala Harris town hall. But instead of asking the hard-hitting questions, she rolled out the red carpet. What we got wasn't journalism. It was a soft focus showcase with studio lighting fit for influencers and applause from Hollywood's finest. Think less press conference, more product premiere. Harris wasn't grilled, she was gift-wrapped, complete with curated talking points, polished optics, and a VIP stamp of celebrity approval.
Oprah actually spent time hanging out with a working-class person in America. She's on her Montecito estate with one of the most beautiful mansions known to man. And that is why she did not follow up with Kamala Harris in response to that stupid gun question with, well, you're on camera saying that you favor mandatory gun buybacks. So how would that work? The Oprah enthusiasm worked when it was genuine. When she first hit the scene in like the 1980s and she was fresh out of Chicago, she was in Chicago for the launch of her national talk show. She was something electric and interesting and authentic, you know? I miss fat Oprah. She was just genuine. Now this thin Ozempic Oprah has lost, along with the pounds, her heart, her sense of authenticity. And what we're getting these days is this cleansed, elite, billionaire version who wants to scrub the rest.
Megyn Kelly didn't even try to mask her disbelief. She practically rolled her eyes in high definition. To her, the whole display was awkwardly theatrical, bordering on parody. She called it affected, forced, like watching someone rehearse. Sincerity in front of a live studio audience. Oprah, once the queen of authentic connection, seemed to be channeling a stage actress caught mid-forgetful monologue. Her expressions told a story of their own, dramatic sighs, perfectly timed gasps, and those lingering looks that begged for a close-up. It wasn't journalism, it was performance art, cloaked in the costume of credibility.
In the news this week for, among other reasons, having run her billion-dollar campaign down to the studs when it comes to her cash. She's reportedly $20 million in debt. We told you the story the other day. Well, now the reports are that she blew the vast majority of that last 20 million on stars. Now, so far, we've only had one star deny receiving a direct payment, and that person is Oprah Winfrey. The reporting is, and we've seen the verification via various publications, that Harpo Productions, her production company, was paid $1 million for that farce of a town hall that Oprah put on. What a joke. So Oprah's production company got $1 million to put that.
And then comes the great Ompic transformation, a narrative broadcast to millions as Oprah appeared noticeably slimmer. But Megyn Kelly wasn't applauding. In fact, she didn't hold back. Quoting directly, she said Oprah looked empty, as if she'd squeezed the joy out of herself just to squeeze into society's latest obsession. Kelly dubbed it Thin Oprah, not as praise, but as a quiet warning: lose 50 pounds, and maybe you lose a piece of your soul. The irony? Oprah's entire brand is transformation, reinvention, shedding what no longer serves, lose weight, gain marketability, collect applause. But in Kelly's eyes, this wasn't evolution, it was an RSVP decline to the very vulnerability that made Oprah, well, Oprah.
Winfrey, she's worth $3 billion. She's up there talking about all the racism she encountered.
But okay, so Oprah Winfrey is American, but Kamala Harris, Jamaicans are not Americans, A. B, not oppressed in any sense. They're actually very successful in the United States. Caribbeans in general, I think, make more than native-born whites. They're successful, they're entrepreneurial. They're not part of the history of racism and slavery in the United States, just the opposite. They just showed up here. So, like, this is ridiculous.
Meanwhile, Tucker Carlson didn't just raise an eyebrow, he tore the whole production apart, calling it what he saw: a political spectacle dressed up as civic engagement. A glorified press release, he scoffed. And when you break it down, it's hard to argue Oprah walks away with a 7-figure check. The campaign gets a polished promo reel. Hollywood's elite bask in the halo of relevance. And the American public? They get a town hall with 0 follow-ups on, say, inflation or the southern border. Just applause lines and soft pitches. If this is what progress looks like, Carlson mused, imagine the backlash. But it doesn't stop there. Oprah didn't just bring her voice, she brought an entourage. Meryl Streep leaned in like she was about to solve foreign policy with a whisper. Julia Roberts nodded solemnly, as if her approval could sway swing states. Chris Rock popped in, though we're still trying to figure out if his cameo was the punchline. Megyn Kelly didn't hold back either. She called it the grand finale of Oprah's journalistic decline. Brutal? Yes. Unfair? Debatable. And here's the kicker, no one even questioned the ethics of that massive payday. $1 million to moderate? That's legacy defining. Cash for glorified MC work. If a lesser-known journalist pulled that off, we'd be lighting Twitter on fire. But Oprah, she floats past the scrutiny, an amnesiac ninja with platinum immunity.
Schoolgirl affectations and body movements. Like, okay, ready? Here it is. Like, okay. She raises herself off her chair. Like, I'm just really excited. I'm really excited about this. Okay.
You're so right.
Okay.
Oh, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something you haven't heard yet.
Yeah.
I'm going to blow your mind.
Okay. Right, like that.
Right.
Let's take a moment to spotlight the hypocrisy because it's hard to miss. Oprah, the lifelong ambassador of empowerment, self-reflection, and critical thinking, now moonlights as a highly paid mouthpiece for a political campaign. Not a journalist, not a moderator, more like a narrative concierge, curating vibes over accountability. If anyone not named Oprah pulled this stunt, the media would lose its collective mind. Imagine a Murdoch doing this, headlines would scream puppeteer, propagandist. But with Oprah, there's only polite applause and reverent silence. She didn't just lend her credibility, she leveraged it. And depending on who's watching, it's either the perfect con or the perfect cover. Megyn Kelly took the gloves off, describing this newer Oprah as detached, distant, like the soulful auntie who once invited everyone to the porch, now only waves from her penthouse balcony. And she's not wrong. When your events come with price tags that rival national budgets, it's hard to pretend you're still of the people. Oprah came from hardship, No doubt, but these days, she floats in such rarefied air that mingling with the masses might require a medical waiver. And circling back to the weight loss narrative, Kelly framed it almost poetically when Oprah lost weight. Something else seemed to slip away too. Not just pounds, but presence. That signature warmth. The irony? Reinvention is Oprah's brand. She's outlasted every trend, every critic, every ratings dip. But this latest transformation isn't about evolution, it's about monetization. A rebrand with a receipt. So picture it. You tune in expecting a serious town hall. Instead, it's a Netflix trailer complete with mood lighting, close-ups, and applause cues. Policy takes a back seat. Feelings take the wheel. The only question: post? Did you feel that? Not exactly the civic engagement we were promised.
I'll tell you something, people. This is yet another piece of evidence that Oprah Winfrey is fake news. News people do not require the campaign to pay us so we can interview them. I did a town hall of sorts in this election when I sat down with the Tim Walz Stolen Valor former colleagues. Do you think I charged them to set up this? No, I didn't. Megyn Kelly paid for it. The Megyn Kelly.
And what did Oprah walk away with? Not just applause, she left with a production credit, polished talking points, and a viral TikTok moment where someone breathlessly claims, "She looked me in the eye." No hard questions, no accountability, just a feel-good spectacle wrapped in soft lighting and influencer glow. It wasn't journalism, it was stunt television, with money bags falling like confetti. This isn't your grandma's Oprah, peddling book club wisdom or weight loss journeys. This is a new model, Oprah 2.0. Selling not just inspiration, but electoral trust. She's now the first official influencer turned political promoter with polling data to back her value. Past YouGov surveys show a measurable bump in public trust when her name is tied to a candidate. It's a transactional trust transfer. You get credibility, she gets a check, the candidate gets a storyline. Why wrestle with real journalism when you can dim the lights to a soft TikTok shimmer, sprinkle in a few celebrities, and hand out endorsements? Like they're keys under every audience seat? You get a candidate. You get a candidate. Integrity not included. And let's not even touch the 7-figure speaking fee. Her audience doesn't question it, they canonize it. Oprah's no longer just beloved, she's branded. A boardroom icon cloaked in down-home charm. She's left the porch for the penthouse, swapped empathy for equity, and now doles out political spin with the same polished cadence she once reserved for aha moments. But here's the kicker. Don't just blame Oprah for the spectacle. Blame the audience that treats her every pivot like gospel. She's not asking for your vote, she's selling the narrative and collecting the receipt.
On abortion.
If you do not have autonomy over this, if you cannot control when and how you choose to bring your children into this world and how they are raised and supported, there is no American dream.
There's no American dream without abortion. That to me sounds like a woman that's had an abortion. I don't know, but that's what it sounds like to me.
Well, it's such a grotesque and crazy thing to say that clearly it's coming from somewhere.
And now we reach the Pinnacle Roast, the crown jewel of contradictions. Oprah's entire empire was built on empowerment, right? You get a car, you get clarity, you get courage. But at that glitzy town hall, no one got accountability. There were no hard-hitting questions, no unscripted moments, just a series of campaign-ready soundbites served up on a silver tray. It wasn't empowerment. It was image management with a velvet touch. Picture this, a dentist charging $1 million to gently polish a comedian's veneers. Technically, sure, it's dental work, but do you need a private jet and a Swiss bank account to floss someone's molars? That's what Oprah did. She didn't interrogate the candidate, she buffed her up. She brushed her gums with compliments, handed her the mirror, and walked away with equity in the storyline. This isn't a roast, it's an indictment. A full-on call-out of Oprah's evolution from truth teller to trust leverager, from accountability icon to political aesthetic curator. She didn't just cross over into politics, she slipped in wearing custom lighting and a cashmere mic. The irony? Oprah once urged millions to live bravely, to speak truth, to challenge power structures. But at that town hall, courage wasn't on the call sheet. Instead of dialing tough questions, she dialed production budgets, rolled camera, and gave us a cue and a wrapped in a TED Talk filter. Live bravely? More like profit boldly. What we witnessed wasn't journalism, it was a brand activation. Peak soft power masked in silk and sincerity. So keep the tone sharp. Keep the edges jagged. Because this isn't just commentary, this is beast mode for the age of influence.
Here, Oprah Winfrey, she's turned into some sort of nutcase. She's a nutcase. Listen to her last night saying what she thinks the stakes are of this election.
If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible that we will not have the opportunity to ever cast a ballot again. We are voting to save ourselves from this precipice of danger.
Would you spare me the drama? I realize you made $1 billion in the drama business. Your tears, which you could no longer produce anymore. We all saw you run out of the tears. You got $1 billion. You stopped feeling empathy for the people who came on your show. We're going to have elections again. Just take a deep breath. You're good. May not turn out the way you want, but we're going to have another.
Let's talk about legacy laundering, because that's exactly what's happening here. Oprah's not just riding the wave of past glory. She's power washing her public image until it gleams bright enough to distract from the fact that she's now functioning as a high-gloss campaign infomercial. In designer heels, once hailed as a cultural North Star, she's morphed into a premium, high-budget moral accessory, less trusted voice of the people, more strategic prop on the political stage. Her credibility, it used to be gold-earned, respected, undeniable. Now, it's branded content, product placement wrapped in familiar cadence. The pivot is almost masterful. Oprah went from amplifying the unheard to becoming a finely tuned megaphone for pre-approved messaging. Each appearance arrives dipped in Fox humility and trademark sparkle-eyed concern, as if the audience can't spot the production blueprint beneath her every carefully timed pause and curated sigh. And let's not overlook the curated silences, the things not said. Because not every performance is loud. Some are whisper-soft evasions. While crises unfold, immigration, inflation, education implosions, Oprah glides right past them like she's starring in a slow-motion action sequence, dodging every serious topic with the grace of someone who knows that discomfort doesn't test well with key demographics. But rest assured, she'll still deliver a passionate monologue about the energy of the moment or reclaiming your internal alignment, turning what should be civic discourse into something that sounds like a wellness retreat hosted by Gwyneth Paltrow. You'd think decades of influence would invite depth, risk, even confrontation. But confrontation? That's not good for the brand. Much safer to play Oracle serene, untouchable like the Dalai Lama if he came with a private chef, a glam team, and an Amex Black card.
Oprah is admitting she's on Ozempic. And I know this is, our team asked you what was interesting to you today. This was on your list and mine, because of course, you've done a lot of shows on Ozempic. I've listened to some of them. We've talked about this, there's a bunch of drugs. That's just one of the name brands. And now she said she originally wouldn't go on it because she thought it would be, quote, cheating. But now she's admitted that her recent weight loss is due to Ozempic. So
let's get brutally honest. Oprah's alliances speak volumes. Surrounding herself with hand-picked celebrities and polished, TED Talk level thinkers doesn't scream truth seeker. It screams designer echo chamber. Think climate controlled, scent curated, conflict-free zones where the only debate is which caterer pairs best with enlightenment. There's no ideological friction here. It's the political equivalent of a gated community with valet parking and filtered Wi-Fi. Her storytelling, used to grip us raw, vulnerable, magnetic. Now, it feels like a pre-recorded tribute reel, beautiful lighting, polished voiceover, and not a single unpredictable beat. It's so slick, so smoothed over, you half expect to see a directed by Ron Howard credit in the corner. At this point, you could swap her out with a hologram, and the emotional beats would still hit every pause, every tear, perfectly timed. If AI ever goes sentient, Oprah might get a cease and desist for stealing its signature move, emotionally optimized. Neutrality. And let's not even pretend the every woman persona is still intact. That ship sailed somewhere between the bespoke garden parties and the dog birthday cakes that cost more than a used Toyota. She's no longer the friend on the couch, she's the icon they clear the aisle for. She's not out of touch. She's out of orbit. But here's the kicker, she knows. This isn't a case of celebrity cluelessness, it's calculated. It's not innocence, it's intent. That's what makes it sting more. She's not stumbling into power, she's wielding it. With velvet gloves. And while she's not exactly twirling a villain's mustache, make no mistake, she's playing the role better than most elected officials. Because unlike politicians, Oprah doesn't have to pretend she's not performing. She just is. And she's not dismantling the system, she's co-producing it, in 4,000.